lounging, son.
So welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and with me I have a man I have talked about countless times on my side podcast YouTube channel, Brandon Thomas, the writer of one of my favorite books coming out, my favorite image book, Excellence, and I'm so glad that we got to talk today, man. So welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning.
Like I said, Excellence. I love the book. My boy Dylan loves the book. We've reviewed every single issue that's come out. We've talked about Volume 1. We've written about Volume 1. So anybody that doesn't know the book, if you want, Brandon, maybe like you give them a quick, elevator pitch of the book before we get into, what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. So Excellence is a story about a young guy named Spencer Dales. He is the product of this very famous, very powerful, very storied, magical family who has been helping to protect humanity covertly for generations. And he has come of age, and it is now time for him to come into his full kind of magical power and join this organization alongside his father, who helps run it. And hilarity ensues. It's a very classic generational conflict story between, a father and son who see the world in very different ways. And once Spencer kind of learns the full scope of kind of what his father's organization has been doing all of these years, he, like a lot of young people, takes a look around and it's like, why are we doing things this way? We should do better. And on top of that, father and son have become estranged from each other because of this organization. Spencer's magic developed a little later in life, and that led to like a kind of disconnection from his father. So they are two people that are trying to get on the same page and repair their relationship and also possibly change the world forever and ever. So it's a really awesome kind of magical fantasy series. Amazing artwork by my co-creator, Kari Randolph. Emilio Lopez does the color art, and Darren Bennett does our amazing letters. Andres Juarez does amazing design work for the book, and it is something that we are enormously proud of, and very excited to get the book out to people and to hear and really feel the response to it. Because when you're working on this stuff, you always have a feeling, you're like, this feels necessary. Like, this feels good. Like, I think other people would like this. So having that kind of like, feeling returned has been a pretty great feeling so far.
I don't know if I didn't get to tell you actually in person, but I get the advanced PDFs from Image. So I read Excellence, I think maybe a week or two before it actually dropped. Okay. And it blew me away. Like it was an amazing first issue. It's very.
Thank you.
I feel like when I read a first issue,
that was one of the hardest scripts I've ever worked on. So I'm glad.
Oh, I mean, and then I think either halfway or right when I finish, I'm like, because I know Dylan's my friend Dylan, like we've known each other in high school, so I'm like, dude, he's gonna love this book. Then I found out that you guys were doing a signing at I work at now. I wasn't working there at the time, and so I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, so before I had work, I'm like, I gotta get in there. I gotta get the book signed. I got a copy for me. I got a copy for Dylan. And I was like, dude, trust me, you need to read this book. You're going to love it. And since then, like I said, we talk about it frequently. Even when we're not talking about the book, if we're talking about you bring the book up to the point where I'm sure people are sick of hearing us talk about it. But it really is a special book.
That's fine. And we have our burdens to bear.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, the relationship between father and son, Dylan and I each have our own thing with our biological fathers, right? Like issues. So I think that is also why I have a connection with the book. The anger that Spencer holds within him. I too have like my own of anger. My father, but in general, so like I just really like.
That is definitely the case.
Yeah, so I think that's why I love the characters and I love the book so much. And you know,
Mm.
the fact that I love fantasy and I love the message that you guys are sending. I hope you and Kari work with each other for the rest of your careers. I hope guys,
It is. Oh, it's great. I mean, I was yeah, I had there's this thing with me and Skybound where if I tell them like I don't think that they can get someone or they can get something, I feel like they, you know, it's like the Michael Jordan thing. It's like I take it personal, and that was really kind of the discussion around Kari because you know, we had done a lot of work even before Kari came on, a lot of different plots and scripts and outlines and just kind of essentially kind of just workshopping, you know, the story. Like I'd turn in a version of it, and then Skybound editorial would send back like a bunch of great questions like, well, what about this? Or what if this goes here? And then that would further refine kind of how I felt and approached the book, and then things would change. So, you know, during that process, you know, one of the first questions that always comes up is like, who's going to draw it? You know, who's going to be the artist? And Kari had done, you know, Skybound work like way in the past. Like him and Robert know each other back from, you know, Robert's early days in comics. So they've always remained pretty close. And he did Tech Jacket for Skybound. And I know of Kari through, you know, Facebook and meeting at cons and stuff, but we had never actually like worked on anything together. And so they're, you know, Sean from Skybound's like, oh, well, you know, well, what about Kari? I'm like, we can't get Kari. We can't. I mean, yes, that would be great, but you know, we can't get Kari. We can't do it. So I think he just kind of took that as a challenge, and he put us in contact with each other. Me and Kari had a great phone call, and I basically kind of like laid out, you know, Excellence for him and what it was about and what it was really about. And by the end of that conversation, Kari's like, oh, I guess I'm doing this book now. And
yes.
it's been great. The just kind of the visuals and like the power of the visuals that you know, when they're in his and Emilio's hands are just, you know, it's undeniable. I mean, it's really, and just the creation of the book is just a really kind of special and unique situation where everyone on the creative team is kind of adding their own kind of personal history and personal pain and personal triumph into the book. You know, famous character Gigi, who is Spencer's grandmother, you know, and my grandmother. You know, when it came time to kind of decorate her, you know, apartment or her home, you know, Emilio colored it like his grandmother's house, you know, nice. Like the color of the curtains, and, you know, so that kind of personal touch to everything is something that I really hadn't encountered making a comic before. And it really makes it feel like a kind of really perfect amalgamation of, you know, of the group of us, because, you know, I'll write a scene and send it to Kari, and for me, it'll be like a very personal scene, and I'll be like, you know, something almost exactly like this happened to me. And then Kari will get it and he'll be like, yeah, something almost exactly like this happened to me too. And so we've just learned so much like about each other just through the conversation of making this book. And it's been a really, you know, it's been a really amazing just experience, you know, so far. I mean, we still have we still have a lot of work left to do. We're not nearly finished.
Good, but, that's good to hear.
Yeah. There, we know we're finishing, but I'm refusing to tell anyone. But so it's just it's been great. It's been a great experience, very personal, and I'm glad that I kind of got past that barrier and was able to do that, because for years I kind of, you know, I resisted putting so much of myself and my own personal kind of history and kind of baggage into something that I was working on. I was trying to maintain like a safe distance from the work, and this was just an experience where it was just like you have to dive, like you have to jump into it. And, you know, some of it feels like a little too personal, a little too spot on, I'm like, oh man, should I have put that in there? I've had some very interesting conversations with my mother about certain aspects
Yeah.
of the book, but I think there is something in that people respond to. I think it feels kind of lived in and authentic and messy, and that's just kind of how I feel about a lot of stuff sometimes. So I think it just kind of comes through, and everyone kind of connects to the book on different ways. Like there's different relationships or different scenes that are kind of meaningful to different people. So it's really cool to hear other people talk about the book and what like aspects of it kind of draw them into it.
Yeah, and I think that you putting yourself into it is what created that kind of, like, no pun intended, the magic. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Having those genuine emotions exude from the pages, and you mix that with the art and every aspect of it, like the coloring, the lettering. It's just it really is. I mean, I've read volume 1, or those issue 1 through 6. I've read it 3 times, and
Oh wow.
for me, and for me, like I usually like wait a little bit before I reread something, but like,
Uh-huh.
I was upset. Like I had a little bit of a break. I'm like, the pandemic like really fucked things over. So I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll just, I missed the book. I want to read it again. I was like, okay, well, let's read it for let's read it in February too for Black History Month. Like, because I wanted
Mm.
books by by Black creators that really resonated with me. And Dylan's like, of course we have to read Excellence. Of course that's about, So it
Well,
really
thank
is.
you.
Yeah, it's a powerful book. It's not, like there's so many layers to it in the relationships, Gigi with his dad, with his mom, with everybody in the book. Like Spencer is just such a compelling character, and you guys are just like, I want you guys to be the next Brubaker and Phillips. That's what I want.
We'll just do a string of projects
Yeah,
together.
I don't ever want you guys to leave each other. like you have become one of my favorite writers. Kari is one of my favorite artists now.
Thank
It's
you.
like I always want to see stuff by you guys, and
Thank you.
Dylan and I always talk about, okay, what books would we like them to do, and
Uh-huh.
a lot of titles come up for us.
Yeah.
What we would like you guys to do, but let's talk more excellence. One of the things that I really love are the essays that you write.
Okay. Yeah.
The ones that came out,
Mm.
during post pandemic, like the first issue that came out, very powerful. And
Thank you.
say that if you're not reading those, you're not getting the full experience of what this book is about. Those go hand in hand to me. How important is it for you, for fans and readers of the book, like to read it, in your opinion? Like,
well, this is something, I always say that we want to use every single page of the book to tell the story, right?
Mhm.
So there's, the story on the page, and then there's the story behind the page, which is essentially the story of the people that are making it and that are kind of changing and growing and being transformed, both by making this book together and just by, living in this world. So it's really one of those things where I hope that people experience that part of the book. Like, it's not, to me, you don't have to if you don't want to. We wanted to make the book kind of modular in a way. So if you want to come into Excellence and you want to read a story about, like magic and cool fights and daddy issues and stuff like that, you can do that and still enjoy the book. But if you want to dive deeper, if you return to the book, we wanted other things to kind of stand out to you. The kind of the racial dynamics of the book, the generational trauma that's being passed down, from father to son, where the father character, Raymond Dales, I forgot if I even said his name, but Raymond, in his mind is doing, these things to protect his son, but there is also an aspect of himself that he has deliberately kept hidden from Spencer. So, and that's a big part of their problem, because Spencer doesn't understand or know the things that happened to his father that may have kind of spurred these reactions. So without spoiling anything, you look for some of that to come up in the future. And so this really kind of lack of communication between the two of them is what is driving the wedge between them, right? And there is a lot of that in, being Black and living in America. There is a lot of that. There is a lot of kind of resentment and conflict between the current generation and what you would consider, your elders, because, a lot of young people not knowing, the full story or the full context of everything is, like, why didn't you do more? Why didn't you prepare us for this? Why isn't this fixed yet? Why are all of these things that, were, like deep systemic problems decades ago, we are still dealing with? So that's a very, that's very kind of on the button of kind of some of the discussions and conversations that are being had right now. But if you are not interested in that, you don't need that to enjoy the book, right? You can still enjoy the book on the surface level, and that's fine. Or you could kind of dive deeper into it with us and read all of the letters and our responses to the letters, and you get like a kind of a fuller, deeper understanding of kind of why the book was made and why we're doing it. But I know that is not for, even with a book that has kind of like, kind of content like this. I know some people don't like reading comics, about that or with that. And, and that's fine. So hopefully we've designed kind of like an experience where you can take what you need from Excellence and still find, a level of enjoyment that you're comfortable with. But to us, those letters, the responses to the mailbag, that is a huge, huge part of what we're doing. And I keep saying, when we making Excellence is like a conversation between the four of us, me and Kari and Emilio and Darren, and also Andres too. But the book Excellence is also like a conversation with the audience. So you can participate in that as much as you want, or you can ignore it if you want to, and that's fine. I have no problems. People can enjoy, what they want to enjoy, how they want to enjoy it. Like I don't need. I enjoy writing the essays. I enjoy writing the mail, responding to the mailbag, and I know that there is a huge kind of segment of the fan base that also wants to see that and will come along with us. But you don't have to if you don't want to.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? As a matter of fact, I think I want to write it to the mail.
You should.
Yeah, I haven't yet, and you know what? I don't know why I haven't, because it's like one of my favorite books coming out right now. So I'm definitely gonna do it. No pressure. You don't have to publish it, but I definitely want to write in.
We'll probably publish it.
But you know what? I do like your responses too. There was a response that came out. I think it was the last issue, or
in 10.
Yes.
Yeah, I was a little turned up. Let's just say we knew that we were going to get some interesting feedback once we actually put, the former president in the book. And there was a brief discussion about us, like, should we just have someone who kind of reflects him? And, it was kind of one of those conversations that we were having, and it was just like, yeah, no, that's fucking dumb. Just put him in it. Like, and why are we talking about, like, this is like what the theme is, right? Mm-hmm. So, just whatever. It's fine. But we knew that was going to inspire some interesting mail, and we were right. And it's probably not the end of it, which is fine. And like I said, I'm willing to engage in that conversation to some kind of level, maybe not a level that the people that are writing us want us to kind of like engage in it, but it's all fine. It's all fine.
So now I want to jump into the Kickstarter. This is the first thing from Skybound that they're working with. Was Excellence, because I love hardcovers. I do
too.
So I now I'm going to have the single issues, the trades, and now I'm getting a hardcover. I made sure to back a tier where I'm getting a lot of other stuff. If I could have afforded a little bit higher, I think it was drawn into the book. Was that?
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it.
Yeah,
I wanted
that's the
to.
big
So
share.
I'm telling you, I told Dylan, I was like, if I had the money right now and I knew I wasn't going to get yelled at by my wife, I would have backed it in a second. But I'm very excited for this. I was curious, first of all, well, how it came about, and then you're also breaking it up differently than you do in trade. Because like the first
Yes.
6, the second trade is going to be 7 through 12. This is 1 through 9.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could kind of elaborate on how it came about, why the decision to launch with Excellence, and
Excellence has been treated very very well and enthusiastically by the direct market. We went through kind of like multiple printings on the first 3 issues. We got a lot of great buzz. Me and Kari have basically, especially me, I mean, Kari was already kind of there, but I've definitely achieved like a kind of, I guess, a level of name recognition, I guess you would say, that has resulted in me getting a bunch of other assignments at other companies that then I can, try to do some good work there and then kind of loop that back around to Excellence and other projects that I've created. So I would say this project has definitely kind of changed my kind of professional life, in very profound ways already. And we started to discuss this, like you said, during the pandemic. The pandemic kind of changed everything, and it really kind of upset our schedule and a lot of the things we had planned for the book. And on top of that, there's always been a feeling about, about a lot of books, but about this book in particular, that the direct market was only allowing us to kind of like scratch the surface of the potential audience for this book. And I always like to, I always compare it to, I have 3 like great friends. I mean, calling them friends is almost like a misnomer. 3 brothers that I met like in college. Well, one of them I met like way before college, and I went to college with him, and then I met these 2 other dudes, and we became like this kind of inseparable foursome. And I always like to, when I'm talking about this, tell this example. They love me dearly, and they are very excited and proud of me and for me, but they don't really understand how to go into a comic shop and buy a comic book, even by me, like even by someone that they that they like and know personally. So I feel like there are a lot of pieces of our fan base that are like that they would be very, very interested in a book like Excellence, but they just don't understand how to get it. I mean, past, going to Amazon and getting trades, people can do that, but just, there's a kind of disconnection from what I guess, I shouldn't call them civilians, but basically like, people that aren't like comics people, like they aren't plugged into the ecosystem. They don't know what the hell previews is. They don't understand, why we're ordering books 3 months before they come out and why it's so important to pre-order. And, they don't understand all of these mechanisms like we do. And that prevents them from having access to some of these things that they may enjoy. So we've always had this suspicion that if we found a way to make the book easier to get for more people, then more people will get it and more people will enjoy it. So that was kind of the impetus behind doing the Kickstarter. And Skybound has been, I don't know if this is like a spoiler, but I believe that this project will probably only be the first from Skybound. There are some other kind of really cool limited edition archival things that I think they would like to do that maybe aren't the best thing for the direct market. So you may see some of that showing up on Kickstarter, but I won't speak too much on that. But there was just always this idea that there was a bigger audience out there and that we needed to kind of do slightly different things in order to reach that audience. So having the Kickstarter is basically a huge kind of, it's basically us kind of putting our chips on the table and saying like, okay, well, we think that there are people out there that would love this if it was a little easier for them to get their hands on it. And so far the Kickstarter it's doing pretty well. I'm very, very happy with where we're at. I think I think we might've just crossed 80,000 or we're about to cross 80,000 and we still have maybe 12 or 13 days left. And there I can't say, but there's actually a couple of big things or announcements that should be happening, hopefully early next week, that will propel us through the end of the campaign. A couple of final surprises that we are kind of working on to bolster the book. As far as the issue breaks, it was, to me, it was always like one of those things where like the hardcovers typically have more issues than the soft covers. So it was a way of trying to basically put more value into the book. And if you are, I mean, I shouldn't say anything more, but basically the way that these issues are kind of broken up will kind of tell you like how long it's going to go. So there will, you know, if the trades are 6 apiece, there's a couple of natural ways to kind of divide that up going forward, so everything is kind of remains even. So it was a way to, initially we were just going to do the first 6, but I felt really, issue 9 is one of my favorite issues of anything that I've ever written. I mean, when I came up with the ending to that, I mean, I won't tell you obviously because I want you to read it. It's awesome. But when I came up to the ending, like the closing image of that issue, I was just really, you know, I was really happy with myself. I'll admit it. Like every once in a while, like you come up with a scene or an image or something, and you're just like, man, that works. Yeah. Man, that works. I got that one. I got everything. That's always my thing when I'm talking to my editors about any script. When we're talking about it afterwards, you know, I always want to be able to say like I got everything I wanted, like out of that script. Like I feel like I didn't, you know, fall down in a scene, or, you know, I made the wrong decision somewhere, and that was an issue definitely where I was like, I got everything I wanted in this issue. Like everything was structured the way I felt like the pace was very smooth and very even. It was just a script that I felt very, very happy about. And that final closing image of that book just made, you know, it just gives me like chills when I see it. And so I was like, I would like to end it there. Like it would be really cool if we could actually end this hardcover there, because it is really like a major turning point. And it is really like, I have no idea what's going to happen next in this book. And that was just a feeling that, you know, we wanted to kind of play into. And it's you know, it's a hardcover. Hardcover should be more pages, right? You know, it should just be, you should just put more in it. Like that's just kind of like hardcover law. So, you know, I was glad that I brought it up, and I was glad that they agreed to it, because, you know, it just makes the book more valuable, because you can get almost all of the story that has been released thus far. Though by the time the book comes out, we'll probably be, you know, we'll be to the end of the second arc and maybe into the third, but we'll see.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for it. I think that you have, first of all, you're slashing through the stretch goals. So I'm sure you probably have a couple more. Is that what you were alluding to?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
I can't wait, dude. I'm telling you that I love.
We have a couple of super cool things coming up. So awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys are gonna get a great book. You're gonna get a great book, because, you know, when we talked about it, obviously, like there's a version in my email of like what the book is supposed to look like, where like if we get everything we want, if we hit all of our stretch goals, this is what the book is going to look like. So we're just trying to, you know, we're just working our way through that to give you guys like, you know, a truly like deluxe package. And to me, I'm just so excited about the red gilded edges. You know, when I saw that, I was, because one of my favorite books of all time, I don't know if, you know, we're going to start talking about a bunch of like hardcover nerd shit. One of my favorite books of all time, there is like a Legend of Zelda encyclopedia that I think that Dark Horse put out a couple of years ago. Yep. And they did a limited edition version that is all gold, that is like gold gilded edges. And then it comes, and you remember like the sleeves that the Nintendo games used to come in? It comes in a giant Nintendo sleeve.
Yep.
So it is like this big, like 300-page book just about the history of the Legend of Zelda, and it is all gold, and it is in this giant like Nintendo sleeve, and it is one of like my prized possessions. And so just the fact that we are gonna be able to have like some, red gilded edges and metallic, logo on the cover and the spine. We're just, I'm really excited to see it in person.
Oh, same here, man. I mean, I've already read, like I said, I read it 3 times. I fourth time with this nice hardcover. I love the red metallic on the logo, the gilded page, really dope. And then to fill it out, we're also going to be seeing, I believe, some process work from Kari.
Oh yeah, a lot of process work.
Some scripts from you too.
Yeah, going to be the script for the first issue. It's going to be a lot of Kari's process drawings, like when we were figuring out like what the characters are going to look like, what their clothes are going to be like. We're going to have a lot of our color tests, which was a huge part of the kind of development process that Emilio did. And here's a great story about that. So in the book, there's a big kind of conceit where all of the magicians like cast in different colors according to their rank. That came directly from Emilio Lopez. That was not in the original book. But when we were doing color tests, he suggested, he was like, hey, what if we have them cast in different colors, and then the colors kind of dictate their rankings, and then we can do a cool thing where it's like, maybe Spencer casts in purple sometimes down the line, and it's like this visual kind of touchstone where it's like, oh shit, he's casting in purple now, like he just like leveled up. So it became this whole thing that is like a big part of like the life of the book and the mechanics of the book and how the book actually works. And it's just really, like I said, it's really exciting, to work on a book like this and do things like that. And I just really, I'm very kind of like humbled and excited that I get to work on this book with these people. And that's why I always constantly want to say, like, this is not like Brandon's book. Like, this is not Brandon and Kari's book. Like, this is all, we have all contributed to this world and to the feeling and the kind of like emotional essence of this book. And, just want to make sure that everyone recognizes that. And it was a big part of when we did the Kickstarter, when we had our first kind of like planning meetings. I was like, all 4 of us need to be involved. Like, we need to do as many interviews as we can together. They need to be mentioned frequently. There's a great picture. One of the, pretty much one of the like coolest moments of my entire life was when I went to, before the world ended, when we were still doing cons, went to New York Comic-Con. And I had known Kari, but I didn't know Emilio and I didn't know Darren. I met them for the first time, and then we got to do 2 like massive signings at the Image booth, and it was literally like the best feeling in the world. It was awesome. And every time I see that picture of the 4 of us in front of the Image banner, it just gives me a great feeling. And it's like, it's like when I'm talking about my story, it's like, I got everything I wanted. Like, this is what I wanted. Like, I wanted this team of, Black and brown people working together, making something cool that means something to people. And there's no better feeling than talking to people about excellence, because like I said, everyone comes in a slightly different kind of location. There are different things or characters that they gravitate to. And it's really cool and gratifying to hear about that, to hear how people are coming into this book and why they like it.
Yeah, I mean, all of you. I think you take one piece out and the book is changed.
Yes,
it really is all 4 of you that have created something that is just, it really is special. And I recommend it all the time. Anytime I can, it's in my picks.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
I mean, it really is. I'm not just trying to blow smoke up your ass. Like, I really do have like a connection to the book and the characters. And I can't wait to continue to see what you guys have cooking up. And I'm hoping that since the Kickstarter is so successful, we're going to see more hardcovers, right? It's not because I can't stand that. I can't stand that on my shelf.
I hate it too. So let's just say that. I
Okay.
hate that.
Good.
And
That's good to hear.
I hate when the spines don't match.
Oh my God, that's so annoying.
And me and Sean Makowitz from Skybound share, share pain mutually about, series of trades and hardcovers where the spines do not match. And it is just our pet peeve. So this is my promise that the spines will match. And then that will tell you that there are plans for more things in the future.
Very excited. And I was wondering, before we start talking about like some of the other stuff that you're working on, can you tease anything about anything coming up in Excellence?
We're going to be some big new characters. There is a clue to the future of Excellence that we hid on one of the variant covers. It was the variant cover for issue 3 done by Junie Ba. It was the family tree cover, and we hit a clue to kind of like a missing element.
Okay.
And so if you go and find that cover, there is something on there that has deliberately been obscured or burned away. And as we go forward, Spencer is going to find out what that is. There's a lot of big stuff coming up. Let's just say I've written, I'm up through, I think 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm way ahead. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up and coming real soon. Everything, the stakes are high now. Now that now that the things that have happened in the book have happened, and now that Spencer is a little disconnected from certain things, things are going to happen fast. It's going to be very emotional. It's going to be action-packed, and unfortunately, people are going to get hurt. So, there's stuff to look forward to, but some stuff that no.
Oh, dude, I mean, I'm telling you, you write. You guys do some of the best ending pages.
Man, there is one coming. The final page of issue 12 is it's seismic. It is seismic. Kari hasn't even seen it yet. See, this is what I actually keep secrets from Kari specifically, because I want that, I want that first, I want to get his like impression, like when he gets the script and reads it. So obviously there are like big things that he does know, but there are certain things that I've deliberately kept from him just so I can hit him with the script, and so he can be like, what have you done now? So yeah, I would say as big a moment as the final page to 9 was, the final page to 12 is also just like, what?
Okay. All right. Oh,
everyone is keeping secrets. All of the characters are keeping secrets. We're keeping secrets. This is definitely the the part of the book where the onion begins to get peeled, where you start to really kind of dig into it and kind of examine, why is the world this way? Like, why does the Aegis work like this? And what were some of the situations in the past that kind of led to this current construct of the organization? And so there's some big stuff, big time surprises, big time pain coming, but it's all going to look great because Kari and Emilio are drawing it. So
yeah, I mean, I'm here for all of it. Like I said, I love the book. I mean, everybody that's listening, I'm going to say this again at the end of the interview, but make sure you head over to the Kickstarter, back it, go to your shop, get the issues, get the trades, however you like to read your books. Go pick the book up.
It is available, trades, single issues, digital. For me, this is like I was laughing when you were talking about how many different formats you have Excellence in. For me, that was Casanova by Matt Fraction and the Ba twins. I bought that book in every single format that it has ever existed in. I bought it when it was the single slim issues from Image. Then I bought it as the hardcover they put out. Then when they went to Marvel and put it out through Icon, they put them out in like 2-issue bumper editions. I bought those. Then I bought everything digitally. Then I bought more hardcovers. It's crazy. I have like 3 versions of Casanova. Like I think I have like a Casanova hardcover that I actually got Fraction to sign at a con. And then I think I have like 2 soft cover collections of Casanova, the one that Image put out and then the one that Marvel put out. So it's just like, you know, I know I have done it. I have done it a time, but to me, I think Casanova is my book that I have in like 87 different formats. Like, however they release this book in, you know, I'll buy it. And when they decide that they want to do like, you know, a giant omnibus edition and like, oh, here, let's put, you know, 20 issues in, I'm going to buy that too. So,
yeah. I mean, there's just certain books, certain creators that you just do that with. And this is one of the books. I want to talk about, let's talk about some of your DC stuff. I was very, very excited when the Future State stuff was announced and you were doing not only the Outsiders in the next Batman, but you also did the Aquaman book. One of my favorites.
Thank you.
The concept of that was fucking dope. Your Outsiders story, like, I like Duke, but I think that's the most like Duke in a comic book. Like, he was really badass.
It's the most Duke thing ever. Yeah, it was. So basically, you know, I was talking about that trip to New York Comic Con, and at that con, another reason why that, you know, convention experience was awesome is that I got to meet with a bunch of people, with a bunch of editors and representatives from other companies at that show. And it was because of Excellence. So Excellence came out and, you know, people read it. And I think a lot of these editors have been reading my stuff like over the years. And, you know, I have done things here and there at Marvel and DC, but Excellence was just kind of like you know, it was different. It was different in the way that that people were and are still responding to me. And it's just like, oh, okay. Like it's time now. It's clearly time now. So that doing the DC stuff actually came from meetings that I had at that Comic-Con. And so I was just glad that I was able to get in, you know, kind of get into the mix. I got, it's a secret, not a secret anymore, but I got into Future State like a little later. There were like a couple of things that didn't work out with, you know, with other, you know, other options. And it was like, you know, can you give us some heat in, you know, like a week? Like, I think so. So I was really glad that it worked out, and I really felt, you know, again, it was just like I felt like I got when you're working on Marvel and DC characters, to me, it has always been important to just make sure that you're kind of like leaving it on the field, right? When I did that, I mean, I'm still working for DC, like on several things, but at that point, I didn't know that was going to be a thing. So it was just like, oh, okay, I got 2 issues of Outsiders. I have 2 issues of Aquaman. I'm going to try to do the best I can. And I'm going to try to really push these visuals, you know, to like 1 million and just try to do some cool stuff. So if I just do 4 issues and that's it, then, you know, I'll be proud of what I've done. But, you know, thankfully, a lot of DC really likes what I'm doing. So I've done a number of kind of things like short stories and minis and stuff. And I'm working on some things now that haven't been announced yet. So it's going really well. And you always find like kind of certain characters when you're working on this stuff that people haven't done a lot with. They haven't, like, no one has done, I mean, they've done a little like Jackson Hyde Aquaman stuff, but I knew that there was an opening there, right? Where, you know, a lot of people had not seen this character in any sort of way. So it basically gave me license to really kind of, you know, go for it. And the whole point of Future State, they were just like, yeah, man, just do whatever, just make it cool. So there were very little kind of barriers or kind of guardrails. And so that allowed us to come in and really do something that we thought was, was cool. And I was like, oh, we should totally make Black Lightning living lightning. That was like the first page that I wrote for that issue, like the page where he basically like shows up and he's like this lightning being, and he like shows up and he just messes up the bad guys and stuff, and has this really cool kind of encounter with Katana. And I'm really glad that you like that Duke issue. I loved writing that issue. It felt really, really good. And Duke is a character that I've liked for years, like in We Are Robin, and he was also in, I think, Dark Knight's Metal a little bit. Tom King did some really cool stuff with him in his Batman run. And I remember Snyder did that really cool kind of backup feature that was running an all-star Batman that was like the training of the Signal. So there are all these little, kind of bites at the apple that people had, but putting it kind of 5 years in the future was just like, yeah, there's something we should push this. And there was a lot of that from DC. DC was very, very excited about Duke's portrayal in that issue and in that story. So I'll just say that and leave it at that. So
Okay, well, I can kind of guess that maybe that you might be working on him in the future then, because of that little tidbit.
I don't know, things happen. You never know. It's a fluid situation.
Yeah. I mean, and then like Jackson Hyde, man, like those two issues of Aquaman were just phenomenal.
Thank you. And Kelly Sue did some cool stuff with him too, in the kind of like the run of the book before this one. But like I said, just like Duke Thomas, there was an opportunity there, where a lot hadn't been done and established. And the fact that we were able to, and obviously you read it. So, I mean, the secret weapon of that story is Andy Curry. Like getting to work with Andy Curry, like in different kind of stages of her life, like where she's kind of the teenage sidekick, and then they have their adventure and it goes wrong. And she kind of has to grow up on her own. And so, like, she's on her own for a little while before they kind of reunite. And I really, really liked writing both of them. And I really liked their partnership. I really liked their kind of brother, sister, mentor banter. And it was really, for Aquaman, I mean, even just talking about it, that's like a really like emotional story. And to me, it was, I always try to make, I mean, you've read Excellence. There's a lot of kind of high angst and, intense like emotions that are just like dripping out of that book. And anytime I can do that with, kind of like, characters from bigger companies, like you have to take those, because it sticks with people. To me, it's always about the visuals and the heart. And if you can nail like both of those, then you have something that people will remember and that they'll be surprised by. Like, to me, it was like, I was hoping that people like, it's like, man, I'm gonna try to like reach into your chest and like take it out, like in the Aquaman book, which I feel like people are not expecting, expecting to be kind of like approached that way, where but it was the art, both teams of artists that I worked on both books were just amazing. Daniel Sampieri, I think I said that right. He's going to do some Action Comics with, I think it's Philip Kennedy Johnson, I think is
right. Yeah, that's right.
He just started his run. He's going to do some great work. And it was, again, that was one of those situations where we got in the room and we started making this book, and the book was challenging and it was hard and it was demanding. And Daniel, rose to the challenge, like on every single page. Like there was no, there were no shortcuts. There was no like Daniel trying not to, and you can understand that, because this stuff is difficult. I mean, for me, it's easy to get like excited about it and then, script it out in a week and then send it to the artist, and it's like, oh yeah. And then like, it's an entire armada of, controlled aquatic life from different worlds. So, I understand that, sometimes you're just going to be like, yeah, I can't do like all of that aquatic life, but Daniel really, he took it as a challenge, and he's like, I'm gonna draw all of it. He's like, I'm gonna draw every single inch of this book, and I'm not gonna take any shortcuts or any panels off. And he just went for it. And great colorist Adriano Lucas, who I worked with ages and ages ago on a Dynamite Voltron book. And the amount of work and kind of artistry and craft he put into that book, when I know that none of us were making like a ton of money to make that book. That's not why you make it. But, I just know from the amount of time that he was putting in that book for, whatever the price tag was, I was like, man, this dude is good, because this dude is working hard. That was my goal. Like on, earlier projects you do, and they aren't very like financially beneficial for you, but I never wanted people to see that. Like I'm always like, anytime I do something, I'm like, I want it to feel like they paid me $10,000 for the script. Obviously they don't pay me $10,000 for it, but you want it to feel like like you went after it, no matter what. And Adriano had that quality, and I have always remembered that experience working with him. So when we were doing Aquaman, and Daniel was on board, and the editor's like, oh yeah, and yeah, Adriano's gonna do the color. Like, why didn't you tell me Adriano was gonna do the color? And the color work, every single inch of that book, I mean, that book is just gorgeous.
It's breathtaking.
Flat out, drop dead gorgeous. And I just remember just getting the colors, as they were coming in. And it was so funny because Daniel was so nervous. He's like, oh, like how is this gonna go over? I'm like, man, people are going to love this book. This stuff looks gorgeous. Like, even if they can't read the stuff that I've written, they can just look at it. It's just beautiful. Don't worry. And people loved it. So I was glad. I was glad to work on that book, glad for him. And I hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe I can't say, but hopefully I can get back to some of the characters that I wrote in those future state issues for some return engagement. So,
Okay. All right.
I look forward to some of that.
All right. I mean, what can you hint at?
What can I tell you?
Or tease or tell me about any upcoming stuff that you got?
I'm doing a story for the new Legends of the Dark Knight. I'm doing a cool Batman Martian Manhunter team up story with the Calendar Man as the villain. The Calendar Man finds this kind of ancient, dark, like Martian calendar, and then starts committing crimes according to this Martian calendar, and it causes Batman to go to John Jones for a consult. I think it's what it's called. I think it's like the consultant. And I have a story coming up in the Batman Black and White anthology that I am doing with Kari Randolph.
Hell yeah.
And you are going to lose your mind when you see these pages. Like, it's like me and Kari doing Batman, Mad Hatter. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a script that I felt really, really good about. And then I think this is announced, but I'm doing another. Maybe it's not announced. Maybe I shouldn't say. So I'm doing a couple stories for a couple other upcoming anthologies, and I'm working on a couple of mini series. So there's a lot of stuff coming. It's just we're just gonna keep it. We're just gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep it going as long as I can. As long as I can keep coming up with stuff and turning it in, and they like it, we'll keep it going. But I actually have a couple of other like unannounced projects that should be announced maybe in the next 6 months or so. So I'm keeping extremely busy, sometimes too busy, but it's a really exciting time right now for me professionally. And Excellence has just opened, a ton of doors and a ton of opportunities. So I'm just trying to make the most of them and do the best that I can, and leave you guys with some cool visuals, little heartburn sometimes, and keep keep you coming back. To me, that's what, you know, always kind of is impactful about stories for me. So I always gotta put a little heartburn in there. Like talking to my Aquaman editor, like I don't know how I turned into like the feelings guy. I mean, when I started, I wanted to be like in that kind of Warren Ellis mode, like, you know, the cool detachment from the work, and I'm just here to do cool stuff and write people saying cool stuff, and there is that, like I don't want to lose that. That is something that I always want to bring to my work, but the more that I do, the more kind of like the emotional content and kind of, you know, ripping the heart out and throwing it against the wall, that has become more and more interesting to me, and what I hope will become, one of my signatures. We're just like, oh, I don't know what he's gonna do to me this time. Like, is it gonna be like a cool action sequence, or is it just gonna be pain? Pain and anguish. So, yeah.
Well, man, I am very happy for you. I am so glad that you are getting all these projects coming out. I love seeing new names at like when DC and Marvel like get some of my favorite indie creators and like gives them more work. So I'm very happy to see what you got coming up. I'm probably gonna hit you up as soon as some of those announcements come. I'm probably gonna want to talk to you.
All right.
I'm probably gonna want to talk to you at the end of 12 too of Excellence, just so you know. So maybe
yes, you
hit you up. I'll hit you up.
Want to talk to me at the end of 12.
Expect an email from me after 12.
Okay.
I want to chat with you
cool.
again.
Yeah, there'll probably be something else announced maybe today or next week. I don't know. There's 800 things happening, man. I'm just trying to hold on. I'm just trying to hold on and get everything turned in. So, but it's been great, man. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah,
I appreciate your enthusiasm and your support for Excellence. I really feel grateful that we actually got to meet in person, before now. And so, I'm just, I'm glad, man. I'm glad you enjoy it, and I just hope that we'll keep surprising you and keep you invested and engaged in what we're doing and what's coming next.
Awesome, dude. Of course. And before I let you go, if you could just give final thoughts on the Excellence Kickstarter for everybody, like give them like one more little tidbit.
Okay.
Also share where we can find you online. I'll drop all the links to the Kickstarter, to your profile.
Okay, sweet. That's good because I have everything linked in. So LinkedIn, I hate LinkedIn. But anyway, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, the same handle. I am at brites247. It's BWRITES247 on Kickstarter and Insta. My personal website is Brandon Thomas Writes. And on all of those locations, you can find links to the Kickstarter campaign. I believe we have like 12 days left. There are a bunch of tiers. There's hardcovers available, obviously. There is a series of trading cards, a series of rookie cards that Kari drew up for some of our like most prominent characters. There are prints available of two of Kari's most popular covers, cover to issue 5 and the Juice inspired cover to issue 7. What else? There is a tier that has like an exclusive book plate with like a personal, not a personalized drawing, but a sketch and autograph from Kari. So there are a lot of different tiers to choose from. We have 12 days left. We have a bunch of stretch goals still in front of us. We've already unlocked metallic foil on the cover and the spine. I believe we should be at the red gilded edges already. There's going to be a tip-in poster, and there's tons of add-ons. We got stickers. We have journals, which I am super, super excited about. And we have some new pins too for the series. So there are tons of merch, for you to get if you want to go past the book and have, a more broader kind of experience with Excellence. And we are here for you if you are interested in that. So find us all online. I'm online, and through me, you can find Kari, Emilio, Darren. We are all online and very active. And we want to thank everyone for the support that we've gotten so far. I mean, our goal was 40,000, and we're already twice that, and still got a lot of space to stretch. So we're very happy with the response to the campaign so far, and we want to try to get you the best version of this deluxe hardcover that I have on my iPad that I've been like just staring at for months. I hope it looks like that when we're done. So I just want to get you guys to that point, get you everything that excellence deserves and demands. So thank you so much.
Yeah, dude, thank you again, and I can't wait to chat with you again, dude. Everybody listening, make sure you back the Kickstarter. All the links are down below. Brandon, you're awesome. And
thank you, Ryan.
And let's talk soon.
All right, man. Take it easy.